Hi guys, in this video I want to talk about VoIP traffic and how ExtraHop can provide visibility into your VoIP traffic and into your environment. So this dashboard we're looking at here is looking at degraded calls basically from 4 different locations. So we got Sydney, London, Seattle, and New York. As you can see, we have an alert that has fired in Sydney. You can see when in time here, or you can see it on the time chart here as well. So 2 degraded calls that we've seen in the last 30 minutes. And the first thing I want to do is look at my remote site overview dashboard to see what's going on at these remote sites. So this is pulling NetFlow traffic, and I can see the WAN utilization inbound and outbound for all 4 sites, and these are the interfaces for my WAN at these 4 sites. As you can tell, Sydney's having a rough time here. We're hitting 100% inbound and outbound, whereas all the other sites are fine. So I want to go and specifically look at NetFlow for Sydney. And what NetFlow will show you is pretty much basic information, who's talking to who, and on what port, and when in time and how much traffic. So here you can see the top senders and receivers by IP for NetFlow at this location, and you can see the application or port that's being used. So in this case it's CIFS or SMB for port 445. We can break this down by conversation as well, so you can see what IP and port talking to what IP and port, and the amount of traffic over time with these spark lines. And then finally we can show you the individual transactions here. So this link that I clicked on will take us to the records tab, where we're looking at every single transaction in that last 30 minutes, but we're already filtered on Sydney's subnet. As you can see, we can save queries in ExtraHop, and we can attach them to the dashboard via a link, and it will take us directly to the saved query that we have. In this case, we have 55 records. I'm only interested in those degraded calls, so I'm going to filter on Moz score less than 3. And you can see the 55 records are filtered now down to 2 records. Here you can see the calling party and the called party, the extension they came from and what number they called, their IP addresses. You can see the Moz score on the leg from A to B is pretty good, whereas from B to A is pretty bad. You can also see the jitter. You can see the drops. So you can see the drops are pretty high from B to A. But finally, the actual root cause here is at the end with the DSCP markings. You can see from A to B they're getting the priority needed, which is expedited forwarding. Whereas from B to A, they're getting CS1, so it's not a high priority marking here, and that's the actual problem here and why we're having this issue on this call. So we can stop here, and basically you can start to troubleshoot why is the marking not being honored, maybe by a router along the path. But you can also go a step further and actually look at the exact call. So here I can add a filter for call ID. In this case, I'm adding the call ID metric to my table. And the call ID is a unique identifier for every call. And I'm going to filter on this specific call. I'm going to remove all my filters and also remove my record type. And now you're going to see the SIP request response along with the RTP record types all show up because they all share the same call ID, which is again unique for one specific call. Now I want to be able to see the actual packets, so I'm going to click on the packets button, and this will take me to the packets tab, and it's automatically filtered for the IP and port for RTP, but I'm actually interested in not only RTP but SIP as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the ports and just keep the IPs. So I'm going to go back, remove both the IP and port, and then select only the IP. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other guy. And now I've expanded my my search for the packets to include only the IPs and not the ports. So I have 1.7 megs worth of packets. I'm going to download, that's 7,740 packets. Downloaded them. I'm going to open them in Wireshark. And there you go. You have all the the packets for that specific call. Now, you can do a few things in Wireshark. You can go telephony and VoIP. You can look at the ladder diagram to see the different pieces of that call. You can do that also in ExtraHop directly using the records that we've seen earlier. But you can also stream the or play back the voice conversation. So I'm going to play this back to you just to show you how bad this call was.
Hello? Hey, you there? Can you hear me? Hello? Awesome. Call. Call me back. A good phone call.
Okay, so that gives you an idea of how or what happened on the call and how bad the actual call went. And basically what we did is notice the workflow. We started with a dashboard with a degraded call, and right away we were able to go into the individual records for Sydney. We knew there was a quality of service problem, and we saw the WAN utilization was also contributing to the problem. So that workflow, taking you different pieces of the ExtraHop component, different components of the ExtraHop solution to find the root cause and even look at the actual call itself is pretty powerful. One last thing I want to mention before I close this video is that this workflow started off with a dashboard that we were talking earlier about, the VoIP overview dashboard, and spotting the degraded calls on the dashboard here with an alert. A different workflow would be somebody calls in and says, I'm having a really bad day here. So you can actually look for somebody or look for a string in ExtraHop. That's what we can do, and we can start the investigation or the workflow differently. So I'm looking for Tom Rowe, who's called in and is having a bad day. Now I have all of Tom Rowe's records in the last 30 minutes. And once again, I can go back and say, okay, show me MOS score less than 3. And I'm going to go back and filter that, and I'm back to the same spot I was before, looking at these two calls that were having problems. So I hope this has been helpful, and thank you very much for watching.